Freud believed that experiences that hadn't been, now he thought about experiences as repressed, and this goes back to the videotape idea of memory. So the idea would be that you have a record of everything that's happened to you, and the record's actually accurate, and then some of those things that happened to you were very, very shocking to you, or very hurtful, or very depressing, or very threatening, and so you've decided that those have become repressed. You're not paying any attention to them. Now he has a complex mechanism to account for that, and I actually think this is a place where his theory went badly wrong, because you don't have a videotape memory, and it isn't obvious that the memories that you have of traumatic events are fully fledged and causally appropriate, but just not paid attention to. It's more like they're murky and unclear in and of themselves, and they contain too much, and I don't think that people so much repress as they do refuse to attend to, or are unable to attend to. So it's more like a passive avoidance than a passive avoidance of something that needs to be explored and gone through, rather than it is something you know that you don't want to look at, that you or part of you has put away. And I think that's a major weakness in his theory, and has led to a lot of problems with the idea of repression per se. But anyways, that was his idea, that terrible things have happened to you, and you, or some part of you, doesn't want to know about them, and so they live those repressed experiences live an autonomous life of their own too. And here's an example of a trivial example of how that might work. Imagine that you're at work, and your boss says something to you that disturbs you. Maybe it makes you question whether your job is stable, and so you're kind of upset about that, but it's a casual offhand comment, and you go back to work and you just sort of forget that even happened, maybe because you're attending to something else. But then you go home and you're just crabby as can possibly be, and you go home and one of the people there says something a little annoying and you snap at them. It's like, well, that's analogous to what Freud would call a complex, right? Is that this, because you can imagine what's happened is that the boss's words have brought up a whole little sub-personality predicated on doubt up to the surface. And who knows how deep that would be. Well, what happens if I lose my job? And if I lose my job, well, what sort of person am I exactly? And what about all these other times that I've failed? And then maybe you remember the other times that you failed, and what am I going to do in the future? And so it's this whole cluster of ideas that surrounds that doubt, and that's been activated. It's a little part of you, and then maybe you're not attending to that because you're busy doing some other work, but when you go home, something triggers it, and it's already there. You get way more upset than you should. And that's what a complex is, except in a much more complicated manner. Like a complex might be a whole series of experiences that you've had that are united by some emotion, like threat, that haven't been transformed into a coherent representation, but that can rise out of the unconscious and possess you.